So I want to have a little chat about the upcoming summer update. It's not going to be a gloom and doom video on how TF2 is dying, or an expectation that all of TF2's problems will be solved. I just want to share what I believe will happen with the update, the release date, its contents, and more. Back on February 9th of this year, Valve published a blog post on their website reaching out to all workshop creators. The key point I took away from that announcement was the deadline given to workshop creators, stating that they had until May 1st to submit items intended for this summer's update. If you couldn't tell, this is really early in the year. I was naive to think that because they made a deadline, the update would drop within a week or two of May 1st. Obviously, that did not happen. So, when can we realistically expect this much anticipated update to arrive? Well, that's a tough question. Valve has a notorious reputation for being unpredictable and lacking in communication. However, that doesn't mean we can't make some educated guesses. Given that summer is officially upon us, it technically can drop at any time. But based on past summer updates, which tend to launch late in the year, and sometimes even border on fall updates, it's doubtful that it will happen anytime soon. Nevertheless, I don't believe we'll have to wait as long as we did in 2020 when it finally released in late August. Considering Valve gave us creators a May deadline, it wouldn't make much sense for them to delay the release until August or even late July. My prediction is that we'll receive the update closer to the time frame of 2021 when it was released on June 22nd. At the earliest, I'd estimate it will be a couple of weeks from now. Keep an eye out for some signs leading up to the update's arrival. Typically, TF2 experiences an influx of bugs, glitches, and maintenance jobs prior to an update. Additionally, you might notice workshop submissions disappearing. For instance, if you see a map vanish from the workshop, like Payload Extinction, it's almost a surefire indication that the update will drop within a week. Other workshop items, such as hats and unusuals, are hit or miss, some disappearing and others not. So, if you happen to notice your favorite workshop map vanish, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments. However, I haven't witnessed such a phenomenon occurring with the most popular summer submissions, so it will likely be over a week until the update finally arrives. Now, if you're curious about my personal estimation regarding the time of the summer 2023 update release, I have a little game for you. Simply subscribe down below, and if my prediction of the update landing between June 29th and July 13th turns out to be wrong, you can unsubscribe. Sounds like a fair deal, wouldn't you agree? Moving on to the actual content of the update itself, it's rather difficult to predict. Valve essentially has a vast menu to choose from. What's on the menu? Well, the potential options include hats, taunts, unusuals, war paints, maps, weapons, and weapon balancing, bug fixes, anti-bot measures, major content, and various other miscellaneous additions. Like, snakes on snake water. Let's start with hats, taunts, and unusuals, which are almost guaranteed to make an appearance in this update. After all, they are the easiest and most lucrative options for Valve. It would be stupid for them to not include these items. As for which specific items they'll select, that's anyone's guess. Many people have already assembled their dream updates, which I largely agree with. Personally, I'm really hoping my Breaking Bad unusual effect gets in. Nonetheless, Valve's decision-making and quality control are so unpredictable that it's virtually impossible to anticipate what they'll choose. Warpaints and maps is interesting. Prior to the blog post, I would have confidently said that they wouldn't be included in the update. Historically, the summer update has never introduced its own warpaint case or map selection. However, given the announcement of a holiday-sized update in the blog post, I believe it's fair to assume they will be part of the package this time around. Almost every holiday update has featured a warpaint case, with the exception of the recent winter update, which struck me as rather strange. I chalked it up to the potential difficulties in quality controlling the available selections on the workshop. Nevertheless, I'm very hopeful that warpaints will make an appearance in the summer update alongside maps. Over the years, Scream Fortress and Smithmas updates have treated us to new workshop maps, with a few Smithmas maps even permanently joining the year-round rotation. So I anticipate one of two possibilities. Either we'll receive a collection of quirky and gimmicky summer maps that will only be available during the summer, much like Scream Fortress, or we'll get a blend of both tacky and standard maps akin to Smithmas. It's hard to say whether the summer maps will remain year-round or not, considering we currently lack a dedicated summertime rotation like we do for other holidays. I'm inclined to believe that we'll receive at least a few maps that will stick throughout the year. Now, the addition of new weapons is something I really don't know what to think about. Initially, when Valve hinted at an update-sized update, I was fully expecting them to introduce new weapons following the footsteps of the Jungle Inferno update. Then they later backtracked and edited the wording to call it a holiday-sized update. Not a good sign. Seasonal updates have never brought us new weapons, so it's doubtful we'll see any this summer. But that's not entirely bad. Although I would absolutely love to experiment with new weapons, it's fair to say that we already have enough to play around with. Instead, what I do hope for in this update is weapon balancing, reminiscent of the Blue Moon update. I beg Valve to address the imbalances among weapons. The game has reached a rather meta state, with players gravitating towards the most optimal and powerful guns, relegating other weapons to the realm of video challenges. Take a look at the Jungle Inferno update, for instance. It introduced a whopping 5 new items, but I rarely see anyone using them due to their imbalances. Even the second place item for the Heavy surpasses the majority of the Pyro's new weapons. Hence, I hope for at least a little bit of weapon balancing in this update, although it's not something we should necessarily expect from this. In terms of bug fixes, this is an area that genuinely excites me. A few months ago, Valve introduced a new Community Fixes tag for workshop submissions, and wow, did the workshop community deliver. It's overflowing with fantastic fixes, ranging from minor adjustments like tweaking dispenser LOD to significant additions like the removing hats option. I can guarantee that we'll see the introduction of numerous community fixes in the game. They're relatively easy to incorporate, and Valve took the extra step of introducing the new fixes tag. As for Valve's bug fixes, I'm a bit more skeptical. Valve will hopefully address some of the major exploits and bugs that currently plague the game, as they typically do with significant updates, as it's been quite some time since we received a dedicated bug fixes update. I myself have personally tried to reach out to Valve, sending messages and making posts in GitHub forums regarding major exploits I've discovered. However, Valve has been known to let a few slip through the cracks. If this does happen, I have a library of videos at the ready to hopefully bring attention to them. But my prediction is that the initial release of the update will primarily feature some community fixes, with Valve gradually addressing more issues in subsequent smaller updates. Now, let's discuss bots. I highly doubt that Valve will release a major anti-cheat system, like VAC 2.0, or make any announcements proclaiming the complete eradication of bots. It's simply not an issue that can be resolved with a single summer update. That being said, we've witnessed remarkable progress in combating bots. If you compare bot encounters now to just a year ago, you'd be astonished at the difference. Bots are now a rare sight, whereas before, I would spend around half an hour searching for a playable game, sometimes longer. Valve prefers making small, incremental changes to their game. Additionally, announcing specific fixes and changes to the anti-cheat system would only invite hackers to counteract them, furthering the problem. It's a struggle for game developers in general, one I do not envy. However, whatever measures Valve has implemented thus far seem to be working. While cheaters still run rampant in casual servers, bots are nearly non-existent, and when they do manage to join a server, they're either swiftly kicked or even VAC banned. So, don't expect a new anti-cheat announcement or update in the summer update, as we are already in the midst of ongoing efforts to combat bots. Next, when I mention major content, I'm referring to significant game-changing additions. I'm talking about a grand update of old. Updates like Meet the Medic or the MVM update, which revolutionized TF2. Frankly speaking, it's highly unlikely that we'll witness such a game-altering update this summer. If the infamous Heavy update that we hope to refresh Heavy and be a classic multi-day update drops, it's doubtful it would be part of the summer update. However, I do believe we can expect some fresh and distinctive content. The workshop has produced remarkable items that we haven't seen before or in quite some time, such as a new contract system or the CSGO Skulker box system. While they may not introduce truly groundbreaking changes, it's reasonable to hope for something more innovative in this update. Valve's mysterious blog post and the introduction of a deadline give me the impression that they're up to something. This update feels different. For instance, the voice actor for the sniper recently leaked that he was doing voice work again at Valve headquarters. Although this could simply be related to Dota, the clues he dropped suggested a connection to TF2, and something big at that. But who knows? Valve is notoriously unpredictable. It's entirely possible that we could soon have the heavy update in our hands. However, I wouldn't jump to conclusions. With that said, I'm genuinely interested in hearing your thoughts on what we can expect from the summer update. What are your predictions? What content are you most excited about? Let me know in the comments below.